Hi everybody, welcome to engVid.com. I'm Adam. In today's video, I want to explain to you the difference or differences between a resume and a CV. A CV is a curriculum vitae. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. Nobody says that. They say CV. Now, these are very similar, but also very different documents that you use to submit, to apply to different situations, different positions. So I'm going to start by showing you some of the similarities, and then I'll get into the differences that are very important to understand when you're starting to create these documents. So the similarities. First, both of these documents are an opportunity for you to sell yourself. You're selling yourself to an employer, you're selling yourself to an educational organization or institution. Basically, this is the first opportunity that they have to judge you. And that's exactly what they're doing with these. They're judging you to see if they want you to come be part of their team. So keep that in mind, because if you can't sell yourself to yourself, you can't sell yourself to anybody else. Take it very, very seriously, because this might be your only chance to get where you want to go. Both of them are written in chronological order. Everything that you're listing there, your job experiences, your educational experiences, your awards and special situations, are all listed in chronological order, meaning starting from the most recent and going down to the oldest or last situations. Okay? In most cases, unless you just finished high school, don't include high school on your resume or CV. Everything from then on, unless you were doing like volunteer work during high school, which is relevant, but I'll get to that in a moment. Both of them use lists. You're just listing things places you've been and things you've done in those places. Both of them should use a lot of action verbs. More important for the resume, but also important for the CV. Action verbs show you're doing something, not just being there, right? Not just existing somewhere. Action verbs, always preferred. Careful wording. This is super, super important. And I may have mentioned this idea in other videos. Always show them something. Don't just tell them something. To write hardworking on a resume means nothing. Why? Because everybody can say the same thing. What your idea of hardworking is and what my idea of hardworking is might not be the same. So your idea of hardworking and your potential employer's idea might not be the same. Show them that you're a hard worker by giving them concrete examples of hard work. Saying, out-of-the-box thinker, yeah, anybody can say that. What does that mean to you? Hardworking, what does that mean to you? Team player, what does that mean to you? Show them. Don't just say these words because these are just cheap words, empty words, right? Choose your words very carefully. When you're done, when you think you're done, you're not done. Once you have your CV or your resume finished, go back very, very carefully. Every single word, every single hyphen, every single number. Edit, proofread, edit, proofread. Don't be satisfied with a first draft, because it's almost guaranteed there is some mistake in it. There's some little flaw that should be fixed. And the problem is that if you don't see it, the employer might, the school might. Always try, if you can, to get somebody else to look at it, because fresh eyes will see things that you missed. In your eyes, you already know what you want it to say and you think it's there, but it might not be there, right? Spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, punctuation mistakes, very easy to miss. Try to get somebody else to look at it, or edit it, proofread it, put it away. Wait 3, 4, 5 days, think about other stuff, look at it again, carefully, edit, proofread. Do as many times as necessary. And that is why it's important that you give yourself time. Don't write a resume today and send it today. Don't write a resume today and send it tomorrow. Take your time, think very carefully about what you want to include in it, and then send it. And when we start looking at what's in the resume and what's in the CV, you'll understand it. Now, I'm speaking a lot about this from experience. I'm an editor. I help people write resumes and CVs to submit to university applications or to look for jobs. And if you want some help and you can't find anybody, you can go to editorproof.com, edit or proof.com, both okay. And I can help you with that, but not a free service, just so you're aware of that. You can get some help. There's a lot of other companies you can go to as well to get some help with this. Okay, so now let's start looking at some of the differences, although there is one similarity, but within the context, I decided to add it here. So let's start with the length. A resume is usually 1 to 2 pages, 1 preferred. Of course, depending how much stuff you want to put in there, 2 is still okay. Once you get into the 3rd page, your risk being not even looked at. If a lot of HR managers will see 3-page resume, they'll just put it in a rejection pile without even looking at it. Again, it all depends about what's at the top of the first page, but I'll get into that in a moment. Try to limit yourself to 2 pages. If you can do it in 1, even better. But that is why with a resume, styling it is okay. You can have different styles. You don't have to have a very simple listing. You can have boxes on the sides. You can have some highlights here and there that will let you put more information on a page. But having said that, you don't want to cram information in there. You don't want to go like smaller than an 11 font. A lot of people think that because they want to put it into 1 page, they're going to use like a 9 font, like a very tiny type. That's not good. You don't want the person struggling to read it. Even if it's on a screen, they're not going to blow it up and read it. If it's too small, rejection pile. They don't even look at it. Keep it to a reasonable size. Keep it to a reasonable font, like Times New Roman, Calibri, Helvetica, whatever you want, but very, very easy to read font. Never, ever use Comic Sans. It will not make anybody like you more. It'll only put you in the rejection pile. So resume, 1 to 2 pages. CV, generally 3 to 4 pages should be enough, but realistically there's no limit. If you need 10 pages, but it's full of, relevant information, then use 10 pages. There's a very high risk that you won't be looked at because they'll see a book, they're already bored, they don't want to look through it, right? Try to limit yourself to 4 pages. If you need 5, use 5. But make sure everything in there is good, is selling you. But also keep this one simple. So, big enough font, easy to read, standard margins. Do not go all the way to the edge. If they print this, things might get cut off. Plus, it looks very crowded and very busy and might make an HR manager a little bit stressful and rejection pile, right? It's very easy for them. Another very important thing to remember about both CVs and resumes, you are not the only one submitting it, right? For a job position, you really want this job, but so do 1,000 other people. HR managers, they receive 1,000 resumes. You have maybe 5 to 10 seconds to impress them. Making it too busy does not impress them, so keep that in mind as well. Now, who's your target for each one? A resume is you're only looking for a job. Now, some university programs, if you're especially like graduate school, might ask you to submit a resume, but these are mostly like technical programs where you're going to learn something and maybe you're going to have like a co-op component where you're studying a little bit, working a little bit, studying a little bit, working a little bit. They might ask for a resume. Most other programs will ask for a CV, but I'll get into that in a second. So you're applying for a job. Now, in Europe, even companies ask for a CV. That's just wording. In Europe, a CV and resume mean essentially the same thing. So if you're applying for a job and they're asking for a CV, follow the rules of the resume, not the CV that I'm talking about here. And you'll see why in a moment. And a CV is mostly used for academic purposes. If you're, again, submitting an application to a school or a program, you will submit a CV showing all your academic history as well. If you're applying to something like a residency, like you're a medical doctor, you want to do a residency or a dentist, etc., If you're looking for a position, like a job in an educational institution, like a university, you want to be a professor, you want to be an assistant professor, you will submit your CV. Anything to do with universities, colleges, vocational schools, they will ask for a CV because it's more academic focused than a resume. And then lastly, the content. And I'm going to get into more specifics in a moment, but generally, make sure that the resume only includes things that are relevant to the job you are seeking, right? If you're looking to get a job as an engineer, don't mention that you worked at the drive-thru at McDonald's 10 years ago because it has nothing to do with what you're trying to do now. It's good that you had this experience as a teenager, but it has nothing to do with engineering. Don't include it in your resume. Everything in there is relevant to the position, okay? And CV is the opposite. Include everything that you've done basically since high school. And again, if you've done volunteer work in high school that's relevant to what you're doing, include that as well. Curriculum vitae means course of one's life. So show them what you've done with your life and include everything that you have done, because that shows how much you've worked, how much you've studied, what your ambition is, what your interests are, and so on. So now, with all of this in mind, let's look at what you should include in a resume and what you should include in a CV. We'll start with the resume. So of course, have your contact information, but again, you don't need to put all your particular address details. Put your phone number, put your email, that's generally enough. Again, unless they need to know where you live because you're going to have to commute or things like that. Make sure you have a profile, a summary, or an objective at the top of your resume. That's the first thing the HR managers are going to look at. In many cases, this will decide for them whether to continue reading or to put you in the rejection pile. A profile, basically, who are you, what do you do, why should I be interested in you? A summary is very similar, except it's more of a summary of all your career highlights. What are the things that you have done that would make me interested in hiring you? Like, for example, you've helped raise the company's profits. You've reorganized the entire scheduling system. You've rebuilt their computer infrastructure, something like that. Put all that there. This is more about who you are. This is more about who you've what you've done. And objective only for those looking for an entry-level position. So an objective is somebody who just finished high school or just graduated from university and doesn't have all that much work experience. Would put the objective, what they want to do, what kind of job they're hoping to get, what they're hoping to do with the experience they get from this job, etc. But again, entry level only. Then get into your work experience. Chronological, the most recent down to the last one. If you've done a job that has given you no skills or no experiences that can work towards the new job, don't include it. And if you really want to include it because you were there a long time and you don't want to have a huge gap of time in your resume, include it, but don't spend too much time describing what you do because, again, it's not relevant. You're just wasting the reader's time. But at the same time, if you have something that you've been at for like 5 years and then you're going into a completely different industry, you have to be a little bit careful. Try to find some transferable skills. This is a very important phrase. Transferable skills, basically skills that you've gained from one experience that you can apply to the next one, okay? Then list your education. Again, unless you just finished high school, start with only your university, your first degree, your associate degree, diploma, obviously a regular degree, honors degree, postgraduate degree, and so on. Again, chronological order from the most recent to the last. I mentioned here certifications. Depending on the certification, you may want to include that in education as well. If it was a long course that took like a year or so, then that's part of your education. You can also end with skills. Now, Computer skills, like tools that you can use, for example, like a CAD machine or whatever particular machine that has a particular focus that you can use that is relevant to the new job, include that in. Whether to include Microsoft Office, that's a bit of a debate. Some people say yes, include it. Some people say no, don't include it, because at this time, at this stage, everybody should be able to use Microsoft Office. But if you're like a Microsoft Office specialist, you can do like 1,000 things on Word, then yeah, include that and mention that. Other. Now, you can include languages if you're good at some languages, but if you're beginner, it's a waste of time to include it. Intermediate or higher, you can include that. Any awards, but again, they must be relevant to the position. Certifications, interests. Interests, be very careful with. If your interest is soccer, but you're applying for a law office as an intern, soccer might not really help you very much, right? Make sure that your interests are something that could be useful. But if you've done your research and you know that the manager of this particular office is a golf fanatic, he loves to play golf, and you like to play golf, yeah, put golf as one of your interests, because that might actually help a little bit, right? He might want a new golfing partner. So again, the key is only relevant information. And also remember, you have 2 pages maximum. If you don't want to run out of space on useless information, you want to take the space given to you to sell yourself, to show what you can do and why they should hire you. Okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're going to look at the CV, and right away you can already see how much more information is included in the CV that wasn't included in the resume. So again, we're starting with your contact info and your research objective. Remember, because this is academic, they want to know right away, what do you want to do? Even if you're applying to be a professor, you're still going to have to do research. You're still going to need to publish articles or books or whatever in order to be relevant and to bring some sort of acknowledgement to the university. So very important to tell them what you want to research. Tell them your education. At this point, if you're writing a CV, then high school is already too far away. Don't include it. Professional appointments. Now, if you've done if you've been a TA, if you've been in a residency, if you've done something that was some sort of responsibility, paid or unpaid, include that. But make sure it's, again, academic. But you can also have work experience. Some people go to school, they graduate, they take some time to work in the field, in the real world, and then they come back and then they continue their studies. Maybe they go back to work a little bit, then they come back, maybe do a PhD, and then continue in the academic world. Include all jobs that you've had. Any publications. This is very, very important in a CV. And generally speaking, it's very difficult to get a job in a university if you haven't published anything. If you've written a book, even if you've written a chapter in a book, an article. But generally, if you've written an article just, for your school magazine, might not really work that well for you. Include it, but it's not going to have that much of an effect. If you've written an article that was published in a peer-reviewed journal, then that's very impressive, right? Peer-reviewed means people in your industry have read it and commented on it and approved what you've said, and etc. Or any other sort of publication. Any awards or honors you've received. Any grants or fellowships. Like if somebody gave you money to do your research, put that in your CV. Fellowships, if you worked somewhere in an academic situation while working towards some sort of research objective, include that as well. If you've presented something at a conference or at an exhibition, or if you've given a talk somewhere, mention that as well. Make sure to include dates for everything, and that's resume as well. Teaching experience, if you've taught, include that. Give details about who you taught, what you did there as well. Research experience, if you've worked in a lab or in the field doing research, include that experience as well. Languages and skills. any skills you have, any languages you speak. Again, if you're a beginner of something, don't really bother with that. If you're a member of any organization or group, include that. And lastly, references. On a CV, most people put 2 or 3 references that somebody can contact to get to know about this person. In a resume, it's optional. Most people don't include references in a resume. 1, it just takes up space. And 2, you don't want to give out this information until you've at least gotten yourself an interview. Otherwise, you want to keep this information private. Most people will say references upon request. So if you're interested in asking me to come for an interview, then I will send you my reference contact information. Okay? So you see a lot of different information here, very selective information in the resume, and that's the biggest difference between the two. So I hope this was helpful, and now you know what you need to write depending on where you want to go and what you want to do. If you have any questions, please go to engvid.com and ask me there in the comment section. I'll put a quiz there as well so you can review all of this information. And again, if you need help with your resume or CV, editorproof.com. Come and visit, and hopefully I can help you out there as well. Until next time, good luck with your job or academic position search. Bye-bye.